Okay, well, they're nearly ready to go at Healy Park in Omagh. Just very quickly then, Shannon, if you had to put a few quid on it, who would you go for?
You know, everyone has, as I said, has Tyrone written off, but I certainly wouldn't. I think midfield is the key. Aidan Cassidy's a young guy in the middle of the park, you know, who's going to have to live up to his reputation. If he can play well in the middle of the park, Tyrone could nick this.
Okay, it's going to be very interesting. Thanks as ever, Senna. So just a reminder then, you have a choice of 2 live matches tonight. Stay with us here on Setanta Ireland for the match we've just been talking about. That's Tyrone against Cork. Or if you prefer to see how the Division 1 leaders Dublin get on, a good game in prospect against Monaghan tonight across at Parnell Park. You can switch over right now to Setanta Sports 1. Well then, back in August, Cork dethroned the All-Ireland champions Tyrone at the semi-final stage with a victory much more convincing perhaps than the 5-point margin suggested. 7 months on, Tyrone find themselves rock bottom of the Division 1 table and pointless. Cork undefeated and tied at the top. Motivation shouldn't be in short supply then at Healy Park in Omagh tonight. Your match commentary team, Ray Silk and David McIntyre.
You're welcome to Healy Park for tonight's National Football League Division 1 clash of Tyrone and Cork. Two sides who've enjoyed vastly differing starts to their seasons. While it may be a little too early in the year to brand tonight's game as a must-win for the hosts, 3 consecutive defeats have left Mickey Hart's men bottom of the table and staring at the prospect of relegation from the top flight. Where Mickey Hart makes 4 changes from the side that lost narrowly to Monaghan last Sunday. Colin McCarran comes in at cornerback and places Sean O'Neill, while in attack Mark Donnelly makes his league debut. 2 late changes. Owen McCusker from Moore comes in at centre forward for Brian McGuigan, while the cornerback Dermot Carlin is replaced by his Killyclar clubmate Martin Swift. There's a significant change in midfield as Colin Kavanagh moves out from the forwards to partner Aidan Cassidy. 7 of today's lineup started last August All-Ireland semi-final defeat to the Cork men, but Tyrone fans will be heartened by the return from injury of both Sean Kavanagh and Philip Jordan to the bench, neither of whom have played since that forgettable day at Croke Park. By contrast, 2010 couldn't have started any better for Cork, with wins over Monaghan, Kerry and Galway leaving them joint top of the table, and their manager Conor Coonan has kept faith with all 15 of those who started against the Tribesmen last Saturday night. Nicholas Murphy was a late withdrawal last weekend with a hamstring injury, and despite being named in the starting 15 this week, he's failed to recover, so Paul O'Flynn is retained at full forward. He kicked 2 points against Galway last Saturday. Pierce O'Neill continues alongside Alan O'Connor in midfield after his stunning display against the Galway men. His goal and 2 points from play, proving the difference in the end. I'm joined by former Galway All-Ireland winning captain Ray Silk. Ray, Tyrone struggling at the minute as we know, but bearing in mind the defeats to both Mayo and Monaghan were just by the single point, any reason for them to be hitting the panic button just yet?
No, I think anyone that wins 3 All-Irelands in 1 decade definitely go to press the panic button, but it is a concern. I suppose the big news really is that Sean Kavanagh and Philip Jordan are back on the bench, but looking at the stats, it's quite simple. They're -8, they've nothing out of 6, so tonight should see them at their best.
Mickey Hart isn't normally a man to make any rash decisions, but he welcomes back the likes of Sean Kavanagh and Philip Jordan to the bench. They're obviously not match fit, they're not starting tonight, but we know what they can do. We'll get to them in just a moment because they could have a big effect on tonight's game. Our on the Vina, sung by Andrea Begley from Pomeroy. She's the Score County Champion. She'll be taking part in the All-Ireland later this month, the 27th of March. Referee tonight is David Coldrick from County Meath. He refereed the 2007 All-Ireland final, which for Cork fans won't bring back happy memories. Kerry picking up their 2nd All-Ireland title in a row on that 3rd Sunday in September. Another late change to the Cork team. We're told Brian O'Regan starts at centre half back. There's no Ger Spillane for the Cork men, so in the end it is 14 of the 15 that started against Galway last weekend. And Ray, you obviously would have had a keen interest in the game last weekend at Páirc Uí Rinn, and Cork almost threw it away and was really just a case of them taking the foot off the pedal.
Very much so. I was very impressed by Pierce O'Neill, who scored 1-2 from midfield. His paging runs down the middle caused a lot of trouble. And it's interesting as well to keep an eye out tonight. Donnacha O'Connor out from the corner. He impressed at centre forward, so his battle with Conor Gormley will be very, very interesting. And you know, Goulden gave a lot of trouble as well. So look, they're very impressive. They're scoring freely, and it'll be a big test here tonight. But I suppose it'll be interesting to see can Colm Kavanagh stop Alan O'Connor and Pierce O'Neill. It'll be a big test for the Moy man.
So a game Tyrone absolutely desperate to win. The last time they lost their opening 3 fixtures, we have to go all the way back to 1986, which was of course a year in which they finished as Ulster champions and narrowly failing to beat Kerry in the All-Ireland football final the following September. David Goldrick gets us underway here in Healy Park in Omagh, and it's Tyrone on the attack from the off, and it's Colm Kavanagh back in midfield this evening with Kevin Hughes dropping to the bench. It's a first early touch for Tyrone as they're looking to get themselves off to an early start. Muggsy, Owen Mulligan, who'll be looking to have a serious influence on proceedings tonight. He looked to be in good nick last weekend against Monaghan. That's not the best of efforts first off, as he made his return to the county scene after what was a magnificent win for Cookstown in the All-Ireland Intermediate Football Final. Here comes Pádraig Hassan for the Cork men. He's been in supreme form in the opening 3 games for Cork so far. Paddy Kelly playing very deep, and Cork not said to be decent travellers in and around Ulster, but they went up to Monaghan and got a very good win in Scottstown in their opening game of the season, and they backed that up with wins over Kerry and Galway last Saturday night, which is a game also on Setanta Sports. And it's well taken there by the new man in there. It's Brian O'Regan, and the ball slicing off the boot there by O'Regan, the Nemo man, and it's gathered by Pádraig Hassan once again. Alan O'Connor forging a magnificent partnership in midfield with Pierce O'Neill last weekend. Still no Nicholas Murphy, as we know, out with a hamstring injury tonight. Aidan Cassidy, the young midfielder in front of Tyrone. And Martin Penrose dropping deep to receive that ball, and he finds support there from Rémi Mulgrew. And it's an early ball in. It's good work by Tyrone. And the first wide of the evening for the Tyrone men. Davy Hart won't be too happy with that, but a solid start by Tyrone, right?
Good integral play, a very nice ball in by Mulgrew, and a lovely slip there. I think that was McCusker, but Davy Hart should have expected him to do that, but that's a horrible effort, and Mickey Hart won't be too pleased with that one.
He is a point scoring half-back, as so many of the Tyrone defenders are. They're expected to take on the attacking responsibilities when the opportunity presents itself. Ken O'Halloran from Bishopstown with the kick out for Cork. A sizable crowd here in Healy Park. It's a cold night in Omagh, but the importance of the game has drawn the Tyrone support out in numbers. It's well taken there by Donnacha O'Connor. He kicked 4 points last weekend. He's in great nick, as is this man, Paul O'Flynn. It was goal bound, but it dropped short into the arms of Jonathan Curran, who at the moment seems to be in pole position for the goalkeeping duties. Pascal McConnell and Johnny Devine also vying for the number 1 spot in the 2010 championship. But for the moment, Curran is the man in possession. Tyrone, a typical patient build-up. It's Mulgrew again. Penrose dropping deep, doesn't take it initially. And he's shielded closely by Ray Carey. Penrose has battled back. Persistence pays off. It's with Davy Hart. And a clever ball out into space. And it gives Tommy McGuigan the chance to get himself involved for the first time. Not quite sure Owen Mulligan was the man he was intending to target with that pass, but it's worked out. And it's a shot there from Mark Donnelly, making his debut tonight. And a second wide for Tyrone.
Mark Donnelly would be disappointed with that effort, because it was a nice opportunity. The game has yet to come to life, obviously, but to make your debut, you'd like to just get off to a mark. So 2 wides. Cork looked very lethargic. Now, there was talk that they had maybe a little bit of a smash in the way coming into Omagh. The traffic was terrible there earlier coming into Omagh, so maybe it's just going to take them a while to get their feet. But Michael Shields is another man who has to pick it up. Michael Meehan did awful damage last weekend for Galway.
The 2 number 8 find for possession there in the middle of the field, and it gives Pierce O'Neill the chance to get his gloves on the ball for the first time this evening. He's shielded closely there by Mark Donnelly, and it's a risky pass in towards the Cork full back line, and Martin Penrose all over the Cork man. It was Ray Carey there, and in the end Ray Carey gets the free, and he can clear, and Cork taking their time clearing this ball, but now the space does open in front of Pierce O'Neill, and here comes Noel O'Leary down the left flank. Doesn't gather it first time, or the second, or the third for that matter. Not one of Noel O'Leary's best moments.
No. I know the ball is yellow, but that is a very basic skill. Not getting his hands in front of it and loses possession.
Well, it gives Tyrone the chance to launch a counter-attack, and that was seemed like a fairly blatant foul there in the midfield area there from Alan O'Connor. And it's well over 40 years since Tyrone last opened their league and championship campaign with 4 consecutive defeats. And while the league isn't the be-all and end-all, certainly Mickey Hart will want to be playing his football in Division 1 next season. Here comes Tyrone again on the attack. And it's taken by Paddy Kelly, as usual, covering every inch of this Healy Park pitch. Paddy Gassan, the space opens up in front. He's still going. It's good work there from Cork. They're being crowded out at the moment, and it's dropped there to Paul Kerrigan, Cork's top scorer, and it's batted down nicely by Tyrone, and they've got the chance to counter-attack through Colm Kavanagh. Mark Donnelly, he's seeing a lot of the ball. He'll enjoy that. It's a clever pass out to the left-hand side to Owen Mulligan. Steps inside to the right foot. A short back lift, and that's a quality score there from the Cookstown man.
Concern here is how easily Michael Shields slips. He's too far off his man. Mulligan, nice dummy solo, but you just watch Shields there. He falls to the ground. Nice goal by Mulligan, but concerns for Michael Shields. Good to get the game, because with 6 minutes coming up on the clock, David, it was very much time to get a score.
So that will be a settler for the Tyrone men, just entering the 7th minute of tonight's game. It's been a bad week on the under-21 front for both these counties. Tyrone suffering a heavy defeat to Derry on Wednesday night, and this afternoon Kerry beat Cork heavily down in the under-21 Munster Championship, so they'll be looking to put that behind them tonight. Cork are obviously the All-Ireland champions at under-21 level, so that title is gone. They are still the Munster champions and the National League Division 2 champions. Will there be more titles in the pipeline in 2010? Pádraig Hassan once again.
The game is very, very scrappy at the moment. In the centre, you've got all the middle eight pushed in there, too much space in between the full forward line, so we'd like just a little pattern to develop and a little bit of quality. At the moment, very, very scrappy.
Colm O'Neill turns onto the left foot. It was a long way out, and that's an absolutely brilliant score from last year's under-21 All-Ireland winning captain, and the scores are level.
Just on cue, Colm O'Neill came in there with a fantastic score. Beautiful left foot. Time just to, that's the first bit of possession he's got. Swivels his man, amazing score, fantastic, great to get him off there, and hopefully we can see more of that quality.
Corkmen obviously making a long journey up from Leeside today, and it certainly want to make it worth their while by heading back to the 2 points in the bag, making it 4 from 4. Here comes Aidan Cassidy, the Áhar clubman. He's had a magnificent league campaign, one of the standout players for Tyrone. That's well blocked down there by Ray Carey for Cork. He was all over Martin Penrose, and he finds the pass to Paul O'Flynn. It's still Ray Carey, one of 2 UCC men in this Cork full back line. And that's another UCC man, and he's somehow combined with there Michael Shields, and the ball is in the hands of Ken O'Halloran. And he can just calm things down a little as Cork look to launch another attack. Scores level here in Omagh. Michael Shields bursting out of defence again. And he continues his run. This is good work by Cork. And Daniel Goulding, we haven't seen anything of him so far tonight. He's in supreme form. 7 points against Kerry 3 weeks ago. So that he started 2010 just as he finished 09.
Terrific bit of defence there by Conor Gormley. Got the hand in, little flick, very, very important. But Tyrone working much harder than we've seen heretofore, but they have to do. They've nothing out of 6. This is a very important game.
And Owen Mulligan surrounded by 5 Cork men on that occasion, but he does come out with the ball, gets the free, and looks to take it quickly. And Tyrone, full forwards, very deep, very few men in there, but Tommy McGuigan wins his ball well. And he turns and he sends over another score for the Tyrone men, and Tommy McGuigan never needs a second invite to look towards the posts.
Good ball here by Owen Mulligan. Looks up, very proactive. Golduk is telling him to move on there, which is fine. But it's the quality of the pass here. Into space. That takes out the defence. And poor defence, but a fine, fine score by Tommy McGuigan.
With a short kick out from Ken O'Halloran to Pádraig Hassan. And he receives support from Alan O'Connor. And it's stolen from Cork at this time. It's Raymond Mulgrew. He's got Owen Mulligan out to his left. Will he go himself? He finds Mulligan. And Mulligan opts for the fist also, sticks the ball over the bar. That's good work there from the Cookstown man.
Nice layoff there. Mulligan does the right thing, looks up, pops it over the bar. Nice score, puts two between the sides.
Is there a sense on Mulligan, the run that Cookstown had all the way to the All-Ireland final has meant that he's entered the inter-county season probably in the best shape he's been for a number of years. He looks extremely sharp.
And with confidence as well. You know, it's fantastic winning an All-Ireland club with an All-Ireland title with your club. So, yeah, he's buzzing at the moment.
Here comes Tyrone again. Good work there. It's on McCusker, who's also been very impressive so far. But the first instance tonight of the hand-pass rule that so many players up and down the country have fallen foul of over the last number of weeks.
There'll be no question there. A little slip pass just when they're moving well. Davy Hart was lining up there for a score, but good refereeing by David Golder.
Here comes Paddy Kelly, playing almost a Brian Dewar role for Cork tonight, as he has done all season and last year. And Cork just taking the sting out of the game at the moment. It's there with Michael Shields. Donegal O'Connor drops deep from the centre forward position. And it's in towards Colm O'Neill. And he has Justin McMahon for company, and the Tyrone defence standing firm. It's good work from Colm Kavanagh. Long ball over the top towards Martin Penrose, and it's broken well by Ray Carey. But Penrose can pick up the breaking ball, and there was a foul there just for outside the eye shot of Martin Penrose as he brought that ball in. There was a trip there. And it looks like the referee may be getting the cards out for the first time this evening. And Noel O'Leary pleads his case.
Noel O'Leary basically, as he's coming through, he tugs back the man. It looks like he's going to pick up maybe, I think it's a tick, I think, there in that situation. But Noel O'Leary, there wasn't much in it, just tugged them back as he went through.
And maybe
just
Noel O'Leary a little lucky in this occasion, but although to be fair, it might have just been a tangle of legs.
Well, I think he tugged him back. It happens all over the county, but he got caught. And good refereeing again, an opportunity for Penrose.
We'll give the Kilnamatram man the benefit of the doubt for this occasion perhaps, but it gives Martin Penrose another opportunity to put 3 points between the sides. Such experience, Martin Penrose. He kicked 5 frees against Monaghan, so the eye is most certainly in. And there's the commentator's curse straight away. Absolutely not. Martin Penrose puts me in my place. It's another score for Penrose, and Tyrone are 3 up. A good free from the 2-time All-Ireland winner.
Good score here by Penrose. Just falls in there. It was a hard one, but the flag goes up. Although, yeah, just fell in there at the end, and the Penrose. So nice score. Into a bit of a pattern now. Cork had want to just stop this, and they're looking for Alan O'Connor and Pearson O'Neill to get their hands on the leather.
We can be forgiven for that one. Martin Penrose using every inch of the goalpost there. Here come Cork again. It's Alan O'Connor. It's good ball into his midfield partner, Pearson O'Neill. And Donegal O'Connor is the man this time who draws the foul from Tommy McGuigan, perhaps a forwards challenge. And this one a long way out. And Colm O'Neill, well, he's outside the 45-yard line.
Donegal O'Connor, as I spoke earlier, he likes to be out there because I don't think he has the pace for the inside line. Free opportunity now here. Colm O'Neill has scored these. He's, you know, when he came in last year, the most finally scored some of these, so a good opportunity here to put another point on the board.
Well, Cork's only score so far coming courtesy of the boot of Colm O'Neill. Beautifully flighted left-footed shot. A real talent, this guy. That doesn't have the distance, and it's taken very well there. And it's spilled by the Tyrone keeper, Jonathan Curran. He looked like he had it. And he has his arms outstretched, wondering where the free was drawn, but that was not one of Jonathan's better moments.
I fancy Colm O'Neill on this one for sure. So a real gimme by Johnny Curran there. And when you've got Pascal McConnell and John Devine involved in that situation, he should have taken that. That's bread and butter for a goalkeeper, and it gives O'Neill an absolute gimme.
A real competition in the Tyrone goalmate for the #1 jersey this season. And moments like that won't be doing Johnny Curran any favours. As Ray was saying, I can probably take for granted that Colm O'Neill will slot this over. And it's a second point for Colm, and it's a second point for Cork. Several of the big names coming back in recent weeks for Tyrone, and tonight they had the luxury of having Sean Kavanagh and Philip Jordan on the bench, neither of whom have been featured in the red hand jersey since last year's All-Ireland football semi-final defeat to Cork. And that bypasses the whole of the midfield area and allows Paudie Gassan to come out. Finds Pearson O'Neill. He's met by a stiff challenge from Colin Kavanagh. Tony Gassan looking for support. He finds it from Paddy Kelly.
Just in that instant there with Pearson O'Neill, you need O'Neill coming at speed, because you know he's such a big man. He needs to build up the momentum and take it at speed, not to break the gain line in that situation.
And we saw that speed brilliantly displayed by the goal against Galway last weekend. That was ultimately the difference between the two teams. Tyrone, as we so often see, hiring their men for possession, and it's with Davy Hart. And Tyrone on top in these opening stages. Here comes Justin McMahon. It's a decent ball there. And Tyrone down the right hand side, plenty of space for Tyrone at the moment. And it's Martin Swift all the way down towards the goal mouth. It's parried well by Ken O'Halloran. And Martin Swift making one of those cornerback typical runs that we so often see from Ricey McMenamin.
Well dealt with there by Ken O'Halloran. Punches it out, gets it out there, and typically gets a free in, so possibly a square ball as well. But look, with 15 minutes, you just like to see a little bit more panache and a little bit more skill from Cork building it. Tyrone working very, very hard, and if you see just a mulligan stopping the Cork defence coming out.
Yeah, Tyrone closing in space far earlier than Galway did and Kerry the previous week. And Cork finding it difficult to get any momentum going, but here they might do with Donagh O'Connor. The run was made for O'Connor by Paul O'Flynn, but he chose to ignore it. Perhaps that was the wrong option, because Tyrone have broken the ball down again. It's Mulgrew. Tommy McGuigan drops short for that, but he's left it for McMenamin. The first chance for McMenamin to get into the opposition half. And McCusker was the target, but it's well dealt with by the Cork defence. And now Pádraig Gassan has half the field to run into. Raymond Mulgrew looking to close down the space, but it's all down the way down the line towards Paul O'Flynn, and O'Flynn saw the whites of the eyes of Davy Hart there and spilled it over the touchline. Two All-Ireland titles to Davy Hart's name. One of the big men for Tyrone in 2008. The Errigal Kieran man. Mark Donnelly comes short, wins it, and Davy Hart's continued his run. Owen Mulligan the target. There's Michael Shields for company. Aidan Cassidy getting forward. Skips by the challenges, and that's a wonderful score from Cassidy if he's found the accuracy. And it's dropped short. Aidan Cassidy getting forward as often as he possibly can, but on that occasion, not to be. Cassidy has a short kick out there from. It's been a tactic that Cork are using successfully so far.
Yeah, Kenneth Halloran. I suppose Alan Quirk is away, or I think they got married or whatever, so they're moving the ball quickly and they're trying to build a bit of pace. And we've got a good run here through the middle.
It's Ray Carey for Cork. The cornerbacks of both sides making good ground tonight. Paul Kerrigan. And the ball being turned over again, as so often in the half-forward line by Cork so far tonight. Paul Kerrigan, it really is the star man of the Cork forward line so far. He's their top scorer.
Scrappy play. Kerrigan has come out from full forward at this stage, but they're not playing that well at the moment. Poor pass, lack of penetration, so they need Donagh O'Connor, Patrick Kelly and Paul O'Flynn to just knuckle down a little bit. Yellow there for Kerrigan, but he's in at the edge of the square. He has scored 3-5, doing quite well at the moment, but the quality of ball in isn't suiting him.
Yeah, late challenge there by Paul Kerrigan as that ball was lost. Here comes Tyrone once more. It's Ryan McMenamin. And Justin McMahon has made a lone-versing run from the full-back position to keep McMenamin down that left-hand side. Steps infield. And again, Ken O'Halloran is the beneficiary from Tyrone's wayward shooting. Here's Owen Cotter to Pádraig Gassan. Donagh O'Connor almost acting as a third midfielder for much of this game. And he's been harried there by Owen McCusker. And a little too ferociously.
Poor foul there, but just going back for a second, on too many occasions, Tyrone, and we saw it against Derry as well, Dave, or up in Celtic Park, where they kicked 8 or 10 into the goalkeeper's hands. The old saying, the old adage is put it wide or put it over the bar, but don't be kicking it in there, because it just gives an opportunity to the opposition to build from the back.
Underage players being told up and down the country for many's a year. The last resort is to drop it into the arms of the keeper. Good work from Paddy Kelly for Cork. Carrigan turns and shoots. And that's the first wide of the night for Cork.
That's actually reflective of how poorly Cork are playing at the moment. They look tired, they look leggy. You know, maybe it was the trip up, maybe it was the fact that they're top of the table with 6 points, albeit behind on score difference, but poor at the moment by Cork.
Paddy Kelly for Cork, still just 2 points between the teams. It's Donnacha O'Connor. And this time Donnacha O'Connor shows the rest of his forward line how it should be done.
This is a splendid score here by O'Connor. Popped into there, swivels, very, very, very quick score. That's a fine kick.
So just a point between the teams, despite Tyrone dominating many areas of the field so far. And Conor Coonahan won't be overly displeased by how the opening 20 minutes have gone in Omagh, a notoriously difficult place to come and win. Curran gets play back underway. It's broken well by the Cork midfield to Paul O'Flynn. And now Cork have runners coming from midfield. One of those is Alan O'Connor, another is Paudie Cassan. O'Connor still going on ahead of him, and Cassan opts to take the score on himself, and he does so.
Very, very good score by Cassan. Looks up, weighs up the options and kicks it over the bar. The same last weekend, and that's 3 on the trot by Cork, which I think kind of proves my point that they seem to be warming up, getting into a little bit. They came to the stadium very, very late, and they just seem to be building up a little bit ahead of head seed. The game has improved.
No Ger Spillane of the Cork half-back line tonight. John Miskell yet to make his first appearance of the season, and it's given Paudie Cassan the chance to stake a real claim for the number 5 shirt in Tyrone. Just about getting themselves out of a small degree of difficulty in their own full-back line there. And that's a poor pass from McManaman straight to Noel O'Leary. Donnacha O'Connor for Cork. Looks for the space towards Paul Carrigan. He's up against Martin Swift. And Swift does well. Well, that's a clever ball from Carrigan into Pearse O'Neill. 1-2 last week, and another this week for Pearse O'Neill. His form continues.
Mickey Hart won't be too pleased with this. That's the second mistake there by Johnny Curran. Fine ball popped across. O'Neill kicks it over. That's 4 in a row. But it was all set up by Johnny Curran with an atrocious kick out. So he has to be very, very careful, or he mightn't see a second half, because that's his second mistake and 2 major ones.
And suddenly having been 3 points down at one stage, Cork have kicked the last 4, and they're a point up, leading for the first time in Healy Park. And Cork opting to break all of that midfield ball down from Johnny Curran successfully as well. Pearse O'Neill on that occasion. It's a good ball into Colm O'Neill, and the Cork inside forwards are now breaking and winning their own ball. Still Colm O'Neill, 2 points already tonight, back to Carrigan. Loses his marker, it was Justin McMahon. And Carrigan looks towards the goal. And Carrigan scores, and Cork have opened up a 2-point lead, and they really seem to have got to grips with this game.
Terrific score there. His pace buys him a bit of time there. He's full of confidence. He's been playing very, very well all season. 3-5 against Monaghan, Kerry, Galway. That's 3-6 now.
The Nemo man, just 23 years old. He won a Sigerson Cup medal with CIT last year. He was also a star of the 2007 All-Ireland Under-21 winning side. So plenty of medals in the back pocket already at his tender age. Broken again by Pearse O'Neill, and again he finds a man. It's Paddy Kelly on that time. Donnacha O'Connor. And Kelly's continued the run down this right-hand touchline. Cork dominating midfield at the moment. And that's a clever cross there. Just fails to find the hands of Paul O'Flynn there. And almost a defence-splitting pass from Paddy Kelly. Davy Hart for Tyrone. And Davy Hart's dispossessed, and here come Cork again. It's Carrigan. And Paul Carrigan slams it off the post. Will he get another bite of the cherry? He does, and this time he takes it.
Amazing that he got a situation. Good pressure there by O'Neill. Pops in there, great situation for Kerrigan. It's unbelievable that for Tyrone defence, he gets the opportunity to do it again. So if I was Mickey Hart now, you'd definitely be considering looking at Sean Kavanagh, considering taking him on.
Well, ultimately last week, Ray, it was a very similar situation to that when Conor Gormley was dispossessed by Tommy Freeman to go in and get that goal that won Monaghan the game. And Davy Hart just caught in possession there coming out. As Sean Kavanagh looks on, will we see him sooner than we may have anticipated? Because at the moment Cork are enjoying the run of the field at Healy Park, leading by 3. Here come Tyrone in the shape of Kavanagh's brother Colm. Down towards Owen Mulligan. It's broken well by Michael Shields to Kassan. And look at the space in front of Alan O'Connor now. And Cork really have warmed to their task. He showed a clean pair of heels there to Aidan Cassidy. Paddy Kassan finds himself very advanced. Challenges coming in from both sides. And O'Connor and Donncha O'Connor getting in each other's way a little, but it's now there for Paddy Kelly. And Cork just finding space all over the field at the moment into Colm O'Neill. Initially loses possession, but he's regained it. It's Paul O'Flynn for Cork. Paul O'Flynn looks towards the post. That was ambitious, but may fall for Kerrigan. Back to Daniel Goulding. Great pace from Goulding, and takes the sensible option and puts the ball over the bar with the fist.
Goulding shows great pace, so I think this is going to pop over. Great work by Kerrigan here. Swivels, little hand pass in, and a goal opportunity. He's a left-footed player, but he could have even popped it out there and maybe got another score. Takes a lot of steps there, but punches it over the bar very well. Look, Mickey Hart has to consider maybe Kevin Hughes now or Sean Kavanagh, because Cork are after scoring seven points on the trot.
Well, that's Daniel Goulding's 4th point in 4 National League games, and we're still not at half-time in Healy Park. Conor Gormley in some discomfort there, receiving a bit of treatment. It just gives us an opportunity to talk about how this game has turned, Ray, because as you say, Cork utterly dominant at the moment, and the half-back line for Tyrone really struggling to cope with their men.
Well, Kerrigan in the full forward is working very, very well, but I suppose it's the domination, as we spoke at the start, of Pearse O'Neill and Alan O'Connor. Colm Kavanagh has been struggling maybe to stay on the team, and here he's at midfield. So, you know, Kavanagh's there. He's played 2 Ulster League matches with his club, so based on what we're seeing at the moment, you'd have to imagine if he's injury-free, we're going to see him early, if not before the second half.
Well, Kavanagh spoke this week about his relationship with the Tyrone manager. Mickey Hart said that it had improved. They'd had a long chat about what happened in 2009, various facets of the year, but he said his relationship with Hart is now better than it ever was, and he's looking forward to working with him in 2010. Will we see him tonight? Another mistake there from Jonathan Curran. And has he kicked? Well, he took 2 touches of that ball there. Not quite sure what the referee has to say on that, but play continues. It's Paul Kerrigan. There's nobody in the Tyrone goal mouth, and we almost had a crazy situation there. What a bad night it's been so far for Johnny Curran, and Tyrone do get away without conceding a score, and it just seems to be going from bad to worse.
But John Devine has to warm up as well, because Johnny Curran is having a nightmare at the moment, and had that gone in, it's just inconceivable. Now Conor Gormley, it looks like that's gone down there again as well. You know, he has been their talisman, and the big question, David, I suppose, for a lot of people to be watching tonight is, can Davy Hart, Conor Gormley, Ryan McMinimum or Philip Jordan, can they produce the goods again? But at the moment, you know, poor Johnny Curran, just this is incredible considering the height of the tee.
Well, what's your take on this, Ray? What happened here?
I think someone went short for the ball, and from that point of view, but you'd imagine that's a free in.
Maybe the lads at half-time might clarify that one first, but it's not a situation that we see too often on a Gaelic football field. Jonathan Curran from Coal Island really just needs to draw a breath and concentrate on the task ahead, because he's had a difficult few moments, shall we say.
Conor Gormley looks like he's a quad problem now here as well, and that's not something that you can shake off too well. So, you know, at the moment it's all going wrong for Tyrone. Mickey Hart will be waiting to get into half-time just to solidify things, because they've conceded 7 in a row, and at the moment it's all going poorly for them.
Well, this could be 8 in a row now if Colm O'Neill has his way. Not very well struck, and it goes. Curran came and he got nowhere near that one, and the goal again was left vacant. And again Tyrone get away with what was another mistake deep inside their full back line. And we don't want to be picking out the same player all the time, Ray, but there's certainly his, I suppose, anxiety seems to have spread to the players surrounding him as well.
Yeah, well, if people are jittery and you're nervous behind them, then the full back goes deeper than he normally would. But look, an opportunity here for Tyrone to turn things around.
It's Aidan Cassidy for Tyrone, bursting over the 45. Plenty of room outside. It's Davy Hart, left-footed pass brilliantly in towards Tommy McGuigan, turns and shoots. And again, Tommy McGuigan didn't bring his shooting boots to Healy Park tonight.
He's very annoyed there, and rightly so. Good opportunity. He turns away Kerry very, very well. Good ball here. Look at Kerry. Kerry gets done too easily, and you know, a player of his experience you would expect to score. Disgusted, because that's about 15 yards wide.
And Mickey Hart with a lot to think about as we enter the last 5 minutes before half-time. Noel O'Leary infield to Alan O'Connor. Cork happy just to retain possession for the moment. What a purple patch they've enjoyed over the last 15 minutes. It's been played around their full back line. It's 4-on-4 in there at the moment. And Cork could foul of the Tyrone attackers on their defence, but they played it very calmly down the right-hand touchline. It's Alan O'Connor.
The amount of space Alan O'Connor has on the ball there is just incredible. There's no one within 20 yards of him.
Where is this Tyrone work ethic we're so used to seeing? It's good work there from Donogh O'Connor, and if the ball had been gathered by Colm O'Neill, he skins his man. Just McMahon chasing him, and it's off the post, and lucky there from O'Neill, but it blinks at Daniel Goulding off the crossbar. And the woodwork hit twice in the space of 8 seconds for the Cork men, and Daniel Goulding will wonder how that ball is not nestling in the back of the net.
You know those competitions, David, where what happened next? How could you have conceivably expected him to miss that?
What a let-off for the Tyrone men. Here comes Owen McCusker. Will they take advantage of what's just transpired? And Tyrone looks shell-shocked out there at the moment. Here's Aidan Cassidy. Gets away from Alan O'Connor. And there was a slip there from Ray Kerry. He recovered brilliantly, and he palmed the ball in the direction of Pearse O'Neill. And here come Cork once again. Paddy Kelly. And really, Tyrone chasing shadows for much of the last 15 minutes. Paddy Gassan for the Cork men. Doesn't have too many options down that left-hand side. He looks for Paul Kerrigan, but he was well marshalled there. The ball does break for Kerrigan. Now it is with Kerrigan, the Nemo man. And he leaves the ball behind him. He's dispossessed there by Mark Donnelly, and that was a hefty challenge in from Alan O'Connor.
Most unnecessary, you know, silly play there. The ball has gone to ground. He's not going to get it. You don't just cut across his man. I don't know. I think it was a Jerry Flannery moment.
Maybe O'Connor was hoping that the yellow card wouldn't be flashed. He might get away with perhaps what we might deem a professional foul that time. But David Coldrick, the man in the middle, was having none of it.
Correct decision. You know, the ball is there. The man's hands in it. It most definitely was a yellow card.
He has had his problems against Tyrone, as we know, sent off in last year's All-Ireland semi-final. That was a very tough challenge there. Thankfully, the Tyrone man is up and about. Here comes Paul O'Flynn for Cork. And Cork managing to isolate their men in the Tyrone full back line. It's 3-on-3 in there. The foul has been drawn by Paul O'Flynn, and another chance for Cork to extend their lead once again.
With 32 minutes on the clock, Mickey Hart has to be concerned. You would expect Colm O'Neill to score this. This leads up to the goal chance here. There's the opportunity here that fell to Daniel Goulding. Now he has an open net there just to put it into. That's something that might come back to haunt him. But look, Colm O'Neill has an opportunity here now to put 5 between the scores. And a key stat here for the listeners at home is Tyrone have not scored since the 12th minute. That's 20 minutes without a score.
Indeed, Daniel Goulding, he literally could have towed the ball into the bottom corner there. He opted for the side-footed finish off the crossbar. Here's Colm O'Neill. This time he starts it out left, and this time he gets the result. And that's a third of the night for Colm O'Neill, and the lead is 5.
You'd expect a player of his quality to score that, but look, Mickey Hart has to get his team in at half-time and say, lads, do you want to play in Division 2 next year, or do you want to play in Division 1? Because based on what we're looking at the moment, they could go down to their 4th consecutive defeat.
Well, they say 6 points will be required to maintain Division 1 status this season. It could be as low as 4, but Tyrone staring at 0 from 3 for the moment. That's a long ball in towards Goulding. This time it is dealt with very well by Cathal McCarran. In ahead of Sean O'Neill tonight, the former Tyrone number 21. It's back to Martin Swift for Tyrone. Davy Hart. And it's a good run there, brilliantly done by Rémi Mulgrew. Sells the dummy. He's got Conor Gormley outside him. And this time Gormley shows the forwards perhaps what Tyrone have been missing for the last few minutes.
Marvellous score by Conor Gormley. Shows the leadership that we know he has. Came from deep, beautiful bit of skill. Like, that's a class. Remember, he scored a great goal in Championship last year. Wonderful score.
The Carrickmore skipper showing the rest of the team exactly what's required down that end of the field. 4 between them. Tyrone dearly would love to get the next score before they head in at half-time. It brings to an end a period of dominance for Cork. It's Ken O'Halloran down towards Paul O'Flynn, who's in the midfield area. He's where Nicholas Murphy may have been had the hamstring held up. Here's Aidan Cassidy for Tyrone. And Tyrone Now warming to it. It's good work from Colin Kavanagh. Colin Kavanagh loves the goalkeeper. Was that intentional? Ken O'Halloran found himself in no man's land.
Most definitely intentionally. Looked up. Beautiful, beautiful chip. Wonderful score, and it turns on its head so quickly. He smiles, but that's a wry smile of disgust. Great play, truly looking. This is the key thing. Little look up, beautiful lob, magnificent score, beautiful, and just what this game needed.
Absolutely intentional. Doing Colin Kavanagh a major disservice by even questioning that, and Ken O'Halloran found himself in a terrible position. Great vision there from Colin Kavanagh, and that's put an entirely different complexion on this game, with Tyrone suddenly looking for an equaliser. And it's not been a night for the goalkeeper so far by any stretch of the imagination. Here comes Owen Mulligan for Tyrone. Well, that's well taken there by Owen McCusker. He turns his man. It was Noel O'Leary. Martin Penrose outside him for support. Penrose looks to get past Kassan. Onto the left foot, his favourite boot. And this time Ken O'Halloran does what's required. Cork are rocking at the moment. It's 4 quick points for Tyrone. The point from Conor Gormley, the goal from Kavanagh. Plenty of space for Pearse O'Neill. And Ray Carey making a run just outside him. It is the corner back that O'Neill opts for. And look at the space that Ray Carey has in front of him. Cork looking for the last score before we enter the break. It's Donnacha O'Connor. And Tyrone have managed to get the men back, but he slips the challenge of Davy Hart, and in the end he's penalised for overcarrying.
With a minute left on the clock before half time, I suppose the tale of the half really is the 2 missed chances. Goulding had a great opportunity, missed, and then Kavanagh showed the beauty of it, and that's a 6-point turnaround, because at that stage it was 9-4, it would have went at 1-9-4, and hey, there's only a point in it now.
It's Justin McMahon with the free. Martin Penrose, and McMahon has continued his run. Good work from Mark Donnelly, bearing down on the Cork goal. Donnelly inside towards Tommy McGuigan, and that's a magnificent save from O'Halloran, but the breakdown goes straight back to Tommy McGuigan. What a turnaround in Healy Park.
That has run crazy 3 minutes. To score 2-1 in about 3 minutes. Great save here, fantastic save, very lucky, but McGuigan managed to kick it into the net, and it's all turned around.
What an amazing turnaround in Healy Park, and there is the half-time whistle here in Omagh.
Death of the first half, tremendous game. Senan Connell, it's difficult to call, but I'm going to ask you who's going to win.
Well, if you had asked me with 5 minutes to go at the end of the first half, I would have said, but it was shadow of a doubt Cork were going to run away with this match. But Tyrone have showed a lot of character. You know, we know that they're well able to kick on. You know, when they're being defeated quite heavily in matches and maybe turn games around, and they look like they're going to do it here again. Now, goals win games, and that's going to give Tyrone the confidence going in at half time. And as we mentioned just before the break there, Mickey Hart has the likes of Sean Kavanagh on the bench there as well, and you know he could throw him into the fray with 10 or 15 minutes to go, and a guy like him could turn this game.
What about, I mean, the key battles? It seemed in the early part Conor Gormley was very to the fore for Tyrone. They're winning a lot of ball around centre field, but Cork, again, as was symptomatic of their half, really came into it then and got the upper hand, really.
Yeah, they had big men in the middle of the park, and we know that Aidan Cassidy and Colin Kavanagh are sort of tried and untested as a pair for Tyrone, whereas they were up against Alan O'Connor and Pearse O'Neill from Cork, who have been there, done that, you know, and they dominated. The Cork pair and dominated that 20 minutes, but Colin Kavanagh's after scoring that goal, the midfielder for Tyrone now, so he should that'll give him confidence into the second half, and he should kick on. But it's that middle third of the pitch, and particularly that middle diamond that Cork have, you know, that has been their strength over the last year and a half, and it's the pace that they have up front with the likes of Paul Kerrigan and Pearse O'Neill driving the midfield that has been killing sides in Division 1, so, you know, they're really going to have to puck up their ideas now, certainly for the first 10 or 15 minutes of this half.
Okay, well, let's see how the second half pans out. Cork are out and eager to go. Time to get you back to Racehill and David McIntyre.
Yeah, thanks, Conor. Just awaiting the arrival of the Tyrone team out onto the field here in Healy Park. Just looking at the stats in the first half, 30 minutes on, Cork led by 5, 9 points to 4 at half time. Tyrone had a 2-5 to 9 point lead, and Ray, we certainly won't want to be predicting what's going to happen in the second period after what we saw in that blitz of 5 minutes with the Tyrone men.
Well, we should have known from following Tyrone over the last few years that you can't afford to do that, but an incredible turnaround, 2-1 so quickly. Gormley set it off, and a lot of credit has to go to Conor Gormley for the fantastic score he kicked. Then Kavanagh, my view on it, and it's very decided here in the press box, is that Kavanagh meant it, and then Tommy McGuigan. So as you said, you can't predict anything at the moment.
Well, Senan Conlon felt that he also meant it, and we'll give the guy the benefit of the doubt. It was a beautiful piece of skill there from Colm Kavanagh, and it certainly turned this game. That goal followed closely by a 3-pointer for Tommy McGuigan. Both teams back out onto the field, and referee David Coldrick preparing to get the second half underway. Tyrone looking for their first points of the season, and Cork looking for their 4th win in a row. Joint top of the table at the moment, Cork. These two sides last met in the 2009 All-Ireland football semi-final. Cork victorious on that occasion. Cork also won the last league meeting between the two back in 2007. It's an early free for Tyrone, who look to continue that huge wave of momentum that they brought through from the first half. It's Kavanagh again, that man who got that wonderful goal in the first period. But that's another wide for Tyrone. It's their 5th of the evening. Ken O'Halloran in the Cork goal. Perhaps too strong to say he would have been embarrassed by that, because there wasn't a huge amount he could do about it, to be fair. But both goalkeepers had their sticky moments in the opening 35 minutes. Pierce O'Neill underneath this dropping ball, as is Aidan Cassidy. He breaks it down. Penrose chasing that. And it's with Michael Shields. And still the UCC man Shields looks for support infield. And that was a dangerous enough pass to Ken O'Halloran. And the level of composure being shown by both backlines, full backlines tonight, has been something to admire, because they've played their way out of sticky patches on several occasions. That pass is blocked down, but it finds its target. Paul O'Flynn for Cork. Back to Owen Cotter, who made his debut against Galway last weekend. Pádraig Gassan. Donnacha O'Connor drops deep, as he did so often in the first period. It's a big run there from Noel O'Leary. He gets to it. Paul Kerrigan for Cork. Infield towards Pierce O'Neill. The jersey was pulled, and the referee blows his whistle.
Cheap foul there, very cheap. O'Neill, there was no need for that. That looks like, I think, it's Aidan Cassidy there, so most unnecessary. Gives a very easy opportunity to Colm O'Neill to add. He's got 3 in the first half, and we expect this to be number 4.
Another chance for Colm O'Neill now. O'Neill already 3 tonight, 2 frees, 1 for play, no problem. And Cork will be thankful after the nightmarish 5 minutes before the break that they've got the first score of the second period.
Conditions, as you can see, rain coming down there, so it's going to make it a dogfight. 1 point between them. Top of the table, Cork 6, Tyrone with none. So in these situations, Dave, you normally expect the home team to come home, and the bookies agree with that. 8-11 Tyrone.
Well, Tyrone usually so dominant here in Omagh. They've won 8 of the last 13 meetings between these sides. They're winning by a score at the moment, 1 point. Here comes Tyrone again, back into Michael Shields. He read that very well, cut it out. Pierce O'Neill to his midfield partner, Alan O'Connor. And Paul Kerrigan battling there for Cork. And it's well won there by Paul O'Flynn, but the ball gets all the way through to Jonathan Curran. And Curran was fouled as he brought that ball out. First substitution of the evening, it's been made by Mickey Hart, and it's Conor Gormley, who was carrying an injury in that first period. And the Carrickmore skipper makes way just 3 minutes in, and he's replaced by Sean O'Neill. He started last weekend against Monaghan. He was replaced in the side tonight by Cathal McCarran, a corner back.
Gormley's quad there was acting up in the first half. That's obviously the problem there. He had done very well. So Sean O'Neill played last weekend, taken off, so he had a lot to prove here tonight, and that is a disastrous kick out.
Well, Jonathan Curran, Tony saw the space there for Martin Penrose. He asked a little too much of the full forward in the white and red of Tyrone. Here comes Paddy Kelly for Cork, and again the jersey was pulled. The referee makes no hesitation, but the free kick is taken quickly. It's into Pierce O'Neill. Pierce O'Neill looking for another score for the Cork men. That's the second of the night for him, and Cork getting on top in the early stages.
it'd be unrealistic not to, rule out the goals. Cork have been better, they're more polished, they're playing very, very well. It's the 2 goals by Kavanagh and McGuigan. That is what has kept Tyrone in the game at the moment. So we need more work from Colin Kavanagh and Aidan Cassidy, because O'Neill, second point from play, doing quite well.
So the sides level. Both sides really have enjoyed dominant periods in this game. And Cork just enjoying one of those at the moment. Here come Tyrone now. It's well played by Cassidy. There to Martin Penrose. Penrose fouled. It gives the chance for the Corkmen to get their men back. Crossfield to Davy Hart. He's met by Paddy Kelly. The ball broken well there by Owen Cotter. He got the better of Mark Donnelly that time. Donncha O'Connor now. He was initially looking towards Kerrigan, but he opts to go himself. He's doing well there. Still Donncha O'Connor for Cork. Cuts in field again, and in the end just takes too much out of it.
A little bit harsh there, but what's interesting is that Donncha O'Connor is getting so much space there. Mickey Hart would have told Sean O'Neill to push on him. You can't let O'Connor take that much space. Kicked away again by Tyrone. Tyrone are the authors of their own misfortune on numerous occasions tonight.
It's O'Connor again. That's a wonderful ball into Colm O'Neill. He gets turned. Colm O'Neill still for Cork onto his right foot. And it's a great effort from Colm O'Neill. Shaves the crossbar. And that's brilliant football from the Cork men.
Fantastic ball in. You can see his dependence here on his left foot. As he cuts in, he's trying to get back on there, but then he has a belt of it, and that could have been the back of the net. 5th point for O'Neill.
Well, maybe Colm O'Neill should be forced onto his right foot more often, because once he was forced to pull the trigger, he almost grabbed 3 points for Cork. That's a good score, and they go ahead. And that's a brilliant one-handed take there from Pearse O'Neill. In towards Daniel Goulding. He's made a very good run off his man, and Goulding gets there. He's supported by Kerrigan. Paul Kerrigan shows great pace, the Nemo man. There's still Paul Kerrigan off to go for the fisted point, and Cork utterly dominant at the moment.
Connacht will be very pleased from the point of view that they've blitzed them now in the second half, got 4 scores. Watch Kerrigan's pace, comes in high speed. We've seen this before. Great hands, punches over, maybe a slight hint of a hand pass, but it goes for it, and 4 points on the trot.
Well, Paul Kerrigan has been troubling Martin Swift in the Tyrone full back line all night. Conor Coonan there will be absolutely delighted by how the second half has started. And again, perhaps Cork showing like they did against the Galway men, Ray. They're lacking perhaps in consistency over the 70 minutes, but when they really warm to it, they're very difficult to live with.
Well, they're taking a lot of pace there. Maybe a slight injury there, but it looks like Colin McCann should be fine. But yeah, they've scored 4 in the trot there, they scored 8 in otherwise. But it looks like they're holding up a number here, and there's a lot of excitement here, and it looks like Sean Kavanagh, number 17.
Sean Kavanagh hasn't been seen in a Tyrone shirt since August All-Ireland football semi-final defeat to Cork. Well, he's on the field now. Not a lot he can do just at the moment. It's Daniel Goulding for Cork, left-footed shot towards goal. And Daniel Goulding puts another one over, his second of the night. And Cork really are showing that 5-minute period before half-time is forgotten about.
This is a tremendous score. A bit short there, very, very short, but he cuts in. Beautiful left foot. He skinned Damien Burke the last night on 1 or 2 occasions as well. Burke worked very hard on it, but he's a sweet left foot. And Cork have just blitzed him with 5 points in 7 or 8 minutes.
Well, Colin Kavanagh has taken up a position over on that far side. He's in the left half forward position at the moment, or Sean Kavanagh even. It was Colin Kavanagh with the goal, his brother in the first half. And what influence can Sean Kavanagh have in proceedings, the former footballer of the year? And that was brilliantly taken there by Brian O'Regan for Cork. He's quietly gone about his business so far this evening.
Seemed to bang his head a little bit there as he came down. You know, we've talked about who Tyrone are missing, but obviously Graham Canty, Anthony Lynch and John Miskell are also unavailable. So Regan has come in there and he's worked quite hard, but he took a little bit knock there, but he's going to be absolutely fine.
Tony Kassan looks long. That wasn't one of his better passes. Poor distribution there from Kassan. He's done well tonight. And Paddy Kelly, the work rate from Paddy Kelly, always on display. But it doesn't gather at that time. Here's Kassan again. Baffles his way out of 2 challenges, one of those from Sean Kavanagh. Paddy Kelly looking towards Daniel Goulding. And Goulding has won a lot of his own ball tonight, not that time. And Martin Penrose back in the corner-back position, working hard for Tyrone. It's a good ball out to Raimi Mulgrew.
What's he doing back there?
And that's a question that Mickey Hart may be able to tell us. But for the moment, Tyrone on the attack. It's Aidan Cassidy. Finds support there. It's back in field now towards Ryan McMenamin. He loves these positions. Tommy McGuigan got 1-1 so far tonight. It's a long, hopeful ball over the shoulder there to Aidan Cassidy. 3 men around him. The ball eventually picked up in the free one there. That was very good work by Alan O'Connor, back defending for the Cork men.
Cork getting an awful lot of bodies behind the ball there. There's only 2-3 Cork men in their entire attacking half. Martin Penrose has drifted very, very deep there, but the amount of bodies, there's going to be no score there. Cassidy goes to ground, and then it's just the sheer rate of numbers, and he'd nowhere to go.
Cork have enjoyed a very profitable opening 10 minutes here in Omagh in the second half. They're back into the lead. Paddy Kelly drops deep. He's got Michael Shields outside him. And turned Paddy Gassan making a forward run. He had his back turned to that one, but he faced it just in time. Donnacha O'Connor for Cork. Down towards Daniel Goulding, but he's well shepherded by Cathal McCarran. And Tyrone looking to build from the back and get themselves back into this game. It's Colm Kavanagh. Owen Mulligan has been very quiet since he kicked a second point early in the first half. Gets it back to Colm Kavanagh for Tyrone. Back to his midfield partner, Aidan Cassidy. And McMenamin looking to send the ball in. Owen Mulligan does so on the outside of the right boot. It was a clever pass to Mulgrew. Infield to McMenamin, he's still up there.
You have 12 Cork players there behind the ball, so I'd say Colm Kavanagh or Conor Coonan has said to him at half-time, no more of that mess, no more soft goals. So 12 Cork men behind the ball in the one half, so it looks like they're going to try and hold that lead and concede no more goals tonight.
It's Brian O'Regan for Cork. He looked for the first pass, but kept hold of possession. It's Owen Cotter. Paddy Kenny has Noel O'Leary on his left shoulder, but he looks back to Cotter, and the cornerback still going. The UCC man to Kerrigan. And Kerrigan still going, soccer style. Great work, the beautiful skill from the Nemo man. And in the end, he just couldn't back it up with a finish.
He couldn't be expected to score there from his left foot. He'd done all the hard work, and there's anything Sean Kavanagh working. That was his first touch there. Great pace again, but as you can see when the finish comes here, he's off balance, he's on his wrong side, and he was, you know, that was a very, very ambitious effort. But look, they've scored 5 on the trot. Tyrone have yet to score in this second half, and it's those 2 goals that have kept them in it. Much greater spread of scores between the Cork team.
And absolutely 14 for the Cork men, just 7 scores coming from Tyrone. They have kicked 5 wides to Cork's 1, so that may well have an influence on the overall result come 70 minutes. Here's Alan O'Connor. He's the only Cork man on a yellow card. Paul Corrigan also on one tonight. It's been a tight but clean game. Very sporting encounter here in Omagh. And Tyrone still very much in it. Noel O'Leary using all of his experience there to break that down. It's Paddy Kelly. And here comes Brian O'Regan for Cork. He's got Sean Kavanagh for company, back to Kerrigan, who really is tormenting the Tyrone full-back and half-back lines at the moment. Into Alan O'Connor. It's a very clever run there from Colm O'Neill. He's already got 5 tonight. And he's got 2 men in there, one of which is Martin Swift. And the other was Justin McMahon. And it's back to Jonathan Curran. And it's over 1-9 to the other 9, Colm Kavanagh. And still Kavanagh, as Tyrone look to break in numbers. And Kavanagh was fouled there as he released that ball.
It's very noticeable, Dave. The minute the Tyrone get possession, you can see all the Cork players funneling back behind the ball. They're just chasing back to get behind that ball. And there's Martin Penrose, one of Tyrone's danger men, and he's out in the halfway line.
It has Mickey Hart given Penrose a rolling brief for the second half. He hasn't been where he's most dangerous in the full forward line at all tonight. And that's well played there by Ray Carey, who's had a very good game with Tommy McGuigan, but he's now lost the ball. McGuigan has Carey and Gassan, and he's forced to go all the way back towards halfway, back to Ricey McMenamin, infield to Kavanagh. And here's Sean O'Neill now. And this time they opt to go long, all the way in towards the goalkeeper, and that's a magnificent score there from Sean O'Neill. Only on the field a couple of minutes, the Dromore man, and that's a real boost for Tyrone.
Sean O'Neill's come in and carried on where Conor Gormley did. Up from centre back, drives it over the bar. A fantastic score. And one of the problems of going so far behind the ball is that you let the half-back come on it. We've seen him do that before. That's a terrific score.
Here comes Noel O'Leary for Cork. Mickey Hart preparing to make 2 more substitutions, one of which will be Colin McCullough. Donncha O'Connor back now to Alan O'Connor. And here comes Brian O'Regan, who's certainly getting into more forward positions in the second half. Back to Donncha O'Connor once again. And that's a poor pass from O'Connor straight to McMenamin, who looks to launch the attack to McCusker. Rémi Mulgrew into Tommy McGuigan, who's got away from Ray Carey for once. It's good play from Tyrone. Here comes Davy Hart, bearing down a goal. Davy Hart, and this time he puts the ball over the bar. Tyrone back in this game, and Davy Hart knows that was an important score.
Fantastic attack, clears up the field. Great score. Maybe a goal opportunity just for a second as he clears in there. Maybe a slight tug by Kelly, but a fantastic point. And Mickey Hart bringing the changes now as well.
Tyrone back to within a point of Cork. Here's Colin McCullough, who had retired at one stage in 2010 before being swiftly urged to reconsider. This man still has plenty to offer, very experienced. He's a man with 3 All-Ireland medals. So McCusker and Rémi Mulgrew, the men to make way. And Colin McCullough and Ryan Mellon onto the field. Again, the waves of momentum going from side to side, from Tyrone to Cork and back again. And this time it's with Tyrone. Here's Owen Mulligan. Oh, brilliant dummy there, and it was bought by Alan O'Connor. Owen Mulligan, such a skillful player when he wants to be. Great work.
We've seen this beautiful dummy solo on many occasions. Shimmies one way, buys the thing, and swivels it over with the right hand side of the boot. That's a lovely score. And hey, with 20 minutes to go, Dave, we're set up for a humdinger over the last 20 minutes.
Absolutely. The sides level into the last 20 minutes here at Healy Park. And Tyrone have been in contention in 2 of their 3 games entering the closing stages. They lost to Mayo by a point, they lost to Monaghan by a point, and Cork themselves almost caught by Galway and Páirc Uí Rinn last weekend, having led by 9 at one stage. They led by 5 here, with 2 minutes left to play in the end of the first half here. Tyrone back in it with 2 goals. Here's McCullough just on the field. And Tyrone sensing the momentum is with them at the moment. It's Colin McCullough once again. Oh, that's a clever ball to Sean Kavanagh. And perhaps a fully fit Sean Kavanagh might have got onto the end of that. Great vision from Colin McCullough.
Yeah, McCullough, great to see him back. Mickey Hart has 4 subs now, so Kavanagh there, those runs through the middle that has given him 4 or 5 All-Stars. Beautiful vision, looks up, pops it in, and Kavanagh almost just in front of him. But good to see Sean Kavanagh back for everybody that loves Gaelic games.
Well, the soft March pitch may also have beaten Sean Kavanagh perhaps on a dry, firmer day. That ball may have bounced up into his arms. The Tyrone fans will be absolutely delighted to see this man back into the field. Philip Jordan also on the bench, his first involvement tonight. Will we see him before the night is out? It's well taken, a mark by Aidan Cassidy, the first we've seen so far tonight. And Ray Carey, tenacious defending there, and he managed to break that ball away from Tommy McGuigan.
Fantastic take there by Aidan Cassidy with a big man behind him. O'Connor might have been better just to try and break that down.
Aidan Cassidy really has improved game by game all the way through from the McKenna Cup so far this year. He was number 21 in 2008. Here comes Noel O'Leary for Cork. He's been chased by Colin McCullough. Noel O'Leary goes for goal. And Noel O'Leary perhaps may have been better in opting to go for a teammate.
I think he was looking back at Davy Hart a few minutes ago and he said, if you can do it, I can do it, and if Toddy can do it, I can do it. But Noel, that wasn't one of his better shots. But great endeavour and everything, but poor execution.
And certainly always 100% commitment, nothing less from Noel O'Leary when he pulls on the red shirt of Cork. Here comes Justin McMahon for Tyrone, another defender who loves to get forward, and he's not being met by a challenger at the moment. It's opening up for McMahon. He finds Sean Kavanagh, and Sean Kavanagh had Owen Connor for company. And the referee saying the ball went out for a 65 or the 45, but the umpire, he signalled for a wide.
Ball flicks up
Wheels
there.
them back out.
Yeah, little kick there. Good refereeing.
So Sean Kavanagh doing his best to get involved. He is receiving the ball in, particularly high balls.
Cork. Number 23, John Hayes.
Another sub now. It's made by Conor Coonahan. Colm O'Neill being withdrawn. He's kicked 5 points tonight. It's a surprising enough sub. He's done well both from the frees and with the ball as well.
Yeah, John Hayes, yeah, but just on that chase back, he seemed to pull a hamstring, so the physio came out there and just walking him off there. That's a big blow for Cork. He had scored 5, doing very, very well. Hammer gone.
Well, let's hope that Colm O'Neill's hamstring injury isn't too serious and that it's merely a precautionary measure. And that ball drops to the right and wide there for Tyrone. That's their 6th wide of the evening.
Strange to see Sean O'Neill, who's in at centre back, kicking that 45, but he has scored a lovely one as well. But look, game very, very much in the balance. 15 minutes to go. Anything can happen here, but one advantage that Conor Coonan has is he's only 1 or 2 subs in there, so he has other options.
And Tyrone were forced to make some changes before the game as well. They've started to empty their bench in the second half. A lot at stake, more than just the 2 points here. These two sides also met in the semi-final last year, and Tyrone will certainly have that in the memory bank. It's well picked up there by Alan O'Connor to O'Regan, and it's a good run there from Daniel Goulding. He's battling for possession there, and he manages to get past his man Colm McCarran. Daniel Goulding looks towards the score. Oh, that's a wide ball from Daniel Goulding. They are the sort of scores he was kicking against Kerry 2 weeks ago. He wasn't successful there.
Yeah, wrong side for a left-footed player now. He has kicked 2, but he's more dangerous when he cuts in from number 13 across. But because Hayes is on now, it looks like he's been switched over to the left corner forward. But, you know, I think there's more trouble now for Tyrone there in the right corner back. There's a man gone down there with a hamstring as well.
Daniel Goulding does bend the ball in off that left foot so well from the left-hand side. Narrowly missing there. And it's Colm McCarran that's seemed to have picked up an injury. From the stretching he's doing, it looks like it may well be his calf. He started this evening. Sean O'Neill was the man to drop out. O'Neill is on the field now.
Perhaps Kieran Gooley might come in there. He's about the only defender you've. Or else Philip Jordan as well. So he has options, but it will be his 5th sub.
So Mickey Hart certainly being forced to pull out all the stops on the sideline tonight. He had expected a big response from his team tonight after that heartbreaking defeat to Monaghan. He's got that. They have played in fits and starts. They're very much in it now, entering the last 15 minutes or so. Conor Coonahan, well, how dearly he'd love to go back down to Leeside with the 2 points in the bag. Broken down well by Alan O'Connor. And plenty of space out here for Colm Kavanagh, who's shown up well in midfield tonight. Looks towards Sean Kavanagh, and he was fouled there by Michael Shields. And Moisey McManaman has it at the moment. Sean Kavanagh being called out to take this free. He looks to go short, and in the end Conor McCullough was back in his heels, and Noel O'Leary read that well. It's with Michael Shields. And Cork looking to break, back to Michael O'Leary. O'Regan down towards Donnacha O'Connor. Daniel Goulding willing as ever. And the run continued there. It's brilliant work there from John Hayes. John Hayes looks towards the post. And it was a very good move and a very good score by Cork, who go back ahead.
That came from a mistake down the other end. Well done there. Okay, John Hayes in. He's a goal scorer. He drives over the bar. But if you go back 4 or 5 moves, it was a poor kick there. But look, Cork working quite well at the moment. What they need is Alan O'Connor and Pearson Healy to pick it up. But such 2 big men, they have a habit of going out of the game. Maybe they overexpend their energy. It happened last week. O'Neill scored 2, but they need them to keep driving on if they're going to go on and win in All-Ireland.
The ball in from Brian O'Regan for Cork, down towards John Hayes again. Hayes very much involved. He's had contrasting fortunes in the league so far. He got the winner against Monaghan on the opening day in Scottstown. Then he was sent off in that crazy 3-minute period against Kerry. A slip there from the defender has allowed Paul Kerrigan to get it back to Daniel Goulding. And Daniel Goulding was struggling from out on the left there. Not on that time. Another good score from Daniel Goulding, his 3rd of the night.
Well, Dave, you were in Cork last weekend and you talked before, we spoke about how they Cork can blitz you on occasion. They reel off a few points very, very quickly. Hayes there, popped into O'Neill. Fine score. You can see the rain conditions getting very, very messy here now. And there was a game here Wednesday night, I think, where Derry beat Tyrone. So the underfoot conditions aren't easy. So this will also be a test of stamina.
Cork scoring so freely. Prior to tonight, they'd already racked up 544 in the opening 3 games. Throw another 16 points in there tonight. And their forwards can be very pleased with how they performed so far this season. A short kick out, that's very good work from Jonathan Curran. He found Ryson McMenamin very well. Tyrone trailing by 2, entering the closing 10 minutes. It's Davy Hart. He's got a point for himself so far tonight. Crossfield to McMenamin. And the rain pouring down now in Healy Park. That'll make conditions underfoot even more difficult. And there was a foul there from Michael Shields. The referee spotted it. Gave the free from where the foul was committed, and Shields has been given a yellow card for that. It was on Sean Kavanagh, and Kavanagh going for the return there, not getting it from Tommy McGuigan. Davy Hart. It's a very good ball in there towards Aidan Cassidy for Tyrone. And Cassidy bursting through the defence, gets past Pierce O'Neill. Aidan Cassidy, brilliant stop there from Ken O'Halloran. And it was Pierce O'Neill who fell on the ball, and it's still another chance, and this time it's taken. It's a goal there. Brilliant work from Tyrone. They're right back in this game. And Tyrone's 3rd goal of the night has been banged in by Ryan Mellon, the 29-year-old from Moy. 3rd bite of the cherry in there in the Cork penalty area. And again, while Cork seem to be dominating in the scoring stakes, Tyrone are scoring at such vital times.
3 goals, it's hard to win on 3 goals, very, very difficult. Scrappy play by Cork there, they should have kept that out. It fell beautifully, I think that's Mellon back in the net. And you can see the disgust down Ray Carey, and I'm sure Conor Coonahan is pulling his hair out as well. That's amazing turnaround again.
And suddenly Tyrone back in the lead, despite Cork really dominating for much of this second period. We enter the last 10 minutes, and it's again Cork who are being forced to chase. And Conor Coonahan, he's got a bewildered look in his face, and who can blame him? He's seen many things as a player and as a manager, but this National League game has been full of entertainment, full of goals, and maybe Cork might need to add a goal to their existing 16 points if they take the 2 points away. It's Colin Kavanagh. Nicky Hart substitutes working tonight. Colin McCullough and Ryan Mellon very much involved. Here's Owen Mulligan. Infield to Aidan Cassidy. It's plucked down well from the air by Cassidy. He beats Tunnock O'Connor, wins the free. And again, how often have we spoken about the waves of momentum, Ray? It's all back with Tyrone once again.
Aidan Cassidy bursting through there, and it's the thing I pointed out about Alan O'Connor and Pierce O'Neill. Fantastic going forward, but on occasion they don't seem to have the legs. You see there O'Neill bursting through. Where's his midfield? Where are the men that are marking him there? Great opportunity now here. It looks like it's Martin Penrose trying to add his 2nd score, and a great opportunity to put 2 between them.
It just seems like a blink of an eye ago that Cork were leading by 2. And that goal from Ryan Mellon, coupled with a potential score from Martin Penrose, will put Tyrone 2 up. With 7 minutes on the clock, it's a 2nd free of the night for Martin Penrose. And what have Cork got to say in the closing 7 minutes or so?
Well, you know, they'll take your points and the goals will come. Well, for Cork it hasn't happened. 16 scores versus 12, but 3-9 is a big score. You talked about Cork are averaging 19 points, but they've been conceding 14. That's gone up tonight to conceding 18. They're letting too many in at the back, David.
Paddy Kelly looks for the early run of John Hayes. Hayes showing well. And he gets past the challenge of Justin McMahon. He's still got him for company down on that left-hand side. Back to Paddy Kelly, Paul Kerrigan infield. Kelly was ignored. And again, the ball not coming off that soft surface, the rain pouring down in Healy Park. Donnoch O'Connor manages to find O'Leary. It's Kerrigan again. Here comes Michael Shields. He's just been booked. Noel O'Leary also forward, but this time he finds the forward in Daniel Goulding. And Tyrone have all their men bar 2 in their own half. And Donnoch O'Connor and the rest of the Cork players looking to pick a hole here. It gets to Pierce O'Neill. Pierce O'Neill has been a fine scoring form of late, not there. Tyrone are going to have to build all the way from their full back line. It's good work there. Here comes Ryan Mellon, the goal scorer, the scorer of that third scrappy goal. Martin Penrose. Mellon continues his run. It's Sean O'Neill this time, another man who's got a three-pointer. Over to Owen Mulligan. Mulligan just bides his time, looking for some options. It's still Muggsy, but great work there from Paddy Kelly. Finds Donncha O'Connor. Paddy Gassan looking to overlap. The jersey was pulled there by Aidan Cassidy. And that was a rather cynical foul there from Cassidy. The referee may opt to throw another yellow card his way. David Coldrick has done a great job in this game tonight, but to be fair, it's been a tough physical game, but a very sporting one also. Paddy Kelly looks like he'll be lining up to take this free for Cork. That is a yellow card for Aidan Cassidy.
Important opportunity here for Patrick Kelly to bring it in, because you have to keep an eye on the clock. 6-7 minutes to go. Important to bring it back into one. Big difference between 2 and 1.
The Cork boss Conor Coonahan lining up another substitute. Paddy Kelly for Cork. It was a difficult angle, didn't have the legs. John Hayes couldn't get the challenge in. A break here from Cathal McCarran, and it was a dangerous ball to Owen Mulligan. It didn't get there. Here's Cassan. And a free from an almost identical position. Will Paddy Kelly opt to go for goal again? Cassan really felt that one.
I think there's no intent there at all. Paddy Cassan just comes in with full power. Mulligan stands big. He couldn't even get out of the way. So a correct decision of free, but no further action required.
Yeah, there was nowhere for Mulligan to go there. A substitute for Cork. Brian O'Regan is the man to make way. He was a late addition to the team in place of Ger Spillane. And he's replaced by Conor O'Driscoll, the Uillinn Rovers man. Another one of the CIT Sigerson Cup winners in 2009. And this time the free-taking responsibility is handed over from Paddy Kelly to Donncha O'Connor.
But that's a strange decision. O'Connor should have taken the last one. He's better off the ground than maybe Paddy Kelly. But look, I reiterate what I said. Vital opportunity here. It's funny, if you were to look back over the game, that mistake by Goulding or that goal opportunity has put them in this situation, but they still have time to redeem it.
And Tyrone really had the 3 goal opportunities. They've taken all 3, albeit 2 from rather scrappy openings. And Mickey Hart, desperate to get 2 points, he'll take it no matter how they come. Here's Donncha O'Connor, starts it way over to the right. He's looking to bend it back in. And that's another wide for Cork. They have been very economical with their scores. That's just a 3rd wide for them tonight.
It's a wide that comes at a bad time though, Honey. You'd expect your free taker at least to keep it on target. You go back to the Kerry Cork All-Ireland last year. I think psychologically they need to try and maybe win a league and push on and get some silverware, because that's what Conor Coonahan wants. So even if it was a Division 1 title, how bad?
They're currently the Division 2 champions. They would like to back it up with a Division 1 title this year, and they are in good shape regardless of what happens here in Omagh tonight. There was a push there from Alan O'Connor, but he gets the benefit of the doubt. Here come Cork again. And we can see how difficult it is for the players to stay on their feet there. The rain's been pouring down. It has stopped for the moment, but very greasy out there. And David Coldrick taking the sensible option to throw this up. So Neil up against Kavanagh, and it's broken for Paddy Kelly. Look at Michael Shields is in the midfield area for Cork. Not the best of balls in. It was broken well by Sean Kavanagh, who finds himself in the full back position. And Tyrone really just looking to lock this down now. They lead by 2. 2 minutes to play.
Well, I was reading in the Irish News there, Paddy Healy and Kenny Arch, and those guys always give a good copy, and they were just pointing out that Sean Kavanagh is now just as important to Tyrone as Peter Canavan was in his heyday. So Kavanagh makes all the difference. A Tyrone team with Sean Kavanagh would outrun completely different species.
Really is a talismanic figure for the Red Hand County. Cork need to find scores, a goal or at least 2 points just to bring things level. Here's the new introduction. It's Conor O'Driscoll, his first touch of the night. He gets past the challenge very well there, and the challenger was Colin Kavanagh. He's gone to ground with an injury. Alan O'Connor for Cork. Tyrone. It's Kerrigan deep in towards Paddy Kelly. Paddy Kelly looks to break it off the back of Ryan McMenamin. It's a 45. Donncha O'Connor. He has kicked these in the past. And Cork really, they have to take this. It may well drop short. We could have another scrap around the middle. Perhaps Conor Coonahan would be entirely satisfied with a draw here. Just one score tonight from playing for Donegal O'Connor so far. He kicked 4 points from play against Galway last week. And again, he starts it way out, and again, he's asking the ball to do too much, can't bring it back in. It's another wide of Cork. And they've doubled their tally in the last 5 minutes, just at the wrong time.
Had opportunities there, Paddy Kelly and now Donegal with 2. Maybe an opportunity, as you said, just to put it into a draw. Fintan Gould coming on now, but look, if I was Fintan Gould, I wouldn't be too happy being brought on 69th minute. You know, you've been sitting there, you've travelled up from Cork, I would have given him a bit more time, but I suppose, look, assuming that it goes on to this situation, it's the 3 goals that has been the difference, and Cork's miss.
Well, James Masters walked away from the panel this week. His last piece of action was a cameo of around 90 seconds or so against Galway last weekend. Not too many people surprised by his decision. Fintan Gould would expect to play more. Perhaps he will force his way into the team later in the year. It's broken by Cork. It's now Paddy Kelly, who's worked so hard tonight. Will the Corkmen lead with nothing? Well, that won't have helped their cause. It's straight to Aidan Cassidy. Here's Davy Hart for Tyrone. Tony Gassan still battling away, and he forces the turnover. Fintan Gould, Paddy Kelly again. Cork still looking for that opening. It's Alan O'Connor. Tyrone swarming, that swarm defence that's been so beneficial over the years for them. It's brought them 3 All-Irelands. Another 2 minutes to be played. And Tyrone will just look to maintain possession. It's Colin McCullough. Can Tyrone register their first victory of the 2010 National Football League? Back to Aidan Cassidy. Very experienced, these Tyrone men in these situations. Been brought forward by Sean O'Neill, one of tonight's goal scorers. Clever ball from Martin Penrose. All the way to the cornerback, Martin Swift. And as he takes the ball into the corner, it's Donegal O'Connor managed to get the ball back.
Difficulty for Cork, and it's been most obvious and most evidence in this second half, is Alan O'Connor and Pierce O'Neill on occasion can look quite ponderous. They're like 2 big Gulliver travels going on there, and it's a concern. I think that Connacht will have to mix it up, but look, with a minute on the clock, is it safe to say that Tyrone are going to win this? Assuming it's the 3 goals and the crazy period that no Cork man would like to see in DVD, when they conceded 2-1 in 3 minutes before the small whistle.
And Davy Hart and Ryan Mellon cross each other there, and the referee said illegally so. And Cork really needed goal, one feels. They led by 9 against Galway. They were almost had victory snatched away from them at the death. Well, that's exactly what they need to do now here in Healy Park. They need to send it long and get it in there quickly. Noel O'Leary to Donegal O'Connor. Time running out, 20 seconds left to play here. And the ball put out of play. It's with Kerrigan. And how Cork could do it, and Nicholas Murphy in the square there tonight, just to put the ball in and drop it in on top of him, a Kieran Donaghy type figure. And there was an incident over there. Tommy McGuigan is on the ground after an altercation with Kerrigan. Here comes Michael Shields. Will he opt to drop it in? He uses the fist to do so. In on top of Donegal O'Connor. Goulding there also. Still Shields. Paddy Kelly. And the Tyrone defenders queuing up to get a block on that one. It's in the arms of Jonathan Curran. Hurried clearance by Tyrone. They win the free, and that could be the last piece of action we see tonight. McManaman to Sean Kavanagh. Will he be capping his return with a victory? The play just being held up as referee David Coleridge goes over to check on Tommy McGuigan.
The linesman has his flag held up, so I think it's going to mean bad news for someone on the long journey home. But Tommy McGuigan down, but the linesman has his flag up and he's talking to David Coleridge. He's tugged back, a swing back. I think that might be Donegal O'Connor who's swung back there with his elbow.
A red card for Donegal O'Connor. The referee didn't see it, his linesman did. We could see a swing of the arm. Not quite sure how much contact there was, but the fact is that Tommy McGuigan was on the end of it, and Donegal O'Connor in injury time at the end of this game. That is
the
final contribution by Donegal O'Connor tonight. And what a sad way for his evening to be coming to a conclusion. The ball kicked out of play by Tyrone. Brycey McMenamin punches the air. It's the first 2 points of the season for Tyrone. They're up and running. Sean Kavanagh marks his return with a victory, and Mickey Hart can look back on a very satisfying evening. The scores coming at vital times for Tyrone. 2 goals in the first half, 1 in the second, and in the end they do get up and running in this National Football League campaign, looking to avoid relegation from the top flight. Full time in Healy Park in Omagh. It's Tyrone 3-9, Cork 16 points.
Good music in the lounge directly.
Yeah, cracking game, and Tyrone with a much needed first win of the season and a first correct prediction, I think, of the season for Sen and Connell. But Tyrone edging it just by the couple of points.